Alrighty, welcome again to another track guide by me, Carter. This week in iRacing, the Grand Touring Cup Series is going to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and we're doing the short configuration, which is basically the full configuration, but takes out the big carousel, which would be, I believe, turn 2. So it's a modified carousel, but it's not the normal carousel that's usually taken. So in my practicing, I was able to run a 117.741. That's the lap I'll be showing you guys. I feel like it was pretty fast, other than one corner that I knew I screwed up on. But it was good enough to show you guys how I run the track. So let's begin. So we're coming onto the front straight here, the short front straight. And we are coming into turn number 1. So the key with turn number 1 is you're going to want to keep as much speed as possible going through the corner. You do not want to take it too slow or too fast. And the way that I find that the best is if I shoot for this 100 board right here. So you'll see right about now I actually brake a little later than that. If you really are feeling risky, I guess I kind of look for when the grass kind of stops on the right. But that's where I brake. And when I brake, it's like a hard blip of a brake, so you'll see. So it's a really hard blip, and then I start turning in as I'm braking. I'll stay in 5th gear here. But the key to going through this corner is you want to ride onto this yellow curb, if not cut it a little bit towards the end. So you'll see I kind of follow this pavement, but what I'm looking for here is this yellow curb. And then as soon as I'm like right up next to the yellow curb, that's when I know that I'm able to accelerate, as my car's speed will be less than what the actual corner angle is. So I'll kind of ride up onto the curb just a little bit. So yes, that's coming out of turn 1. Then preparing for turn 2 here, which is a very short preparation between the two corners. What I look for is I try to get kind of straight as if I'm going to the big carousel. But once my car is straight right here, you'll see I'm already on the brake for turn 2. And so once I'm straight, I go down from 5th to 3rd. So you'll see I go down to 4th, then I start turning in for the corner, and then 3rd again. I try to shoot for the inside of this corner here, as you can see up here, the corner starts very tight and gets wider as you go. So I kind of shoot to ride along that white line. That's why you'll see me trail brake through the corner. And then once the track kind of hits its little kink here, as it does in the picture, then I'll kind of slide to the middle. And then as soon as I feel like I'm through the little kink there, that's when I'll get back onto the throttle here. And you should be able to just slide out to the middle of the track, if not all the way to the outside is ideal. So now we're coming down into turn 4, the windy part here. When I'm coming into this corner, what I try to look for is I try to use this 100 board right here, but I'm not braking in line or at it. I kind of wait until it passes, I guess it goes through this little beam that supports my windshield. So once it passes, then I'm on the brake as I'm hugging the left side of the track here. Go down to 4th, and this is where you kind of want to start looking for these pavement changes here. They're very useful, just like Watkins Glen. So I honestly think that they're there for a reason. But I'll go down to 4th. I try to turn into the pavement change and just kind of hold it the whole way through this corner. It'll bring you right to the apex, which is perfect. And then once I'm through the apex, that's when I start to throttle out of that corner. And then the short brake back into turn 5 here. So I try to shoot for when I feel like I'm going straight in line with the track, kind of following all these tire marks here. But I'll give the car a little bit of turn in for turn 5, and then I'll start braking. So this one I'm braking while I'm turning in. Staying in 4th gear here though. Again, you're going to want to find the pavement change and follow it. This is a little bit bigger, so it doesn't really stand out that much. But the idea here is once you blip off the brake is what I do. I do a lot of blipping at this track. I try to find the apex, and then as soon as I feel like I'm close enough to the apex and I'm about to ride along it, that's when I'm on the gas again over the hill, and you can ride out pretty wide here, but you don't want to go too wide all the way to the curb as the grass will catch you, or you just are coming in way too hot and then you're attacking this corner at a very sharp angle. I think I kind of go a tad wide here, but anyways, so I'm turning through this corner. Now coming into turn 6, I kind of try to shoot for like left of this pavement change, and so you'll see that what I try to do is I try to shoot left of this pavement change, and then I kind of almost try to make a big arc that will eventually get me into the darker pavement. And so I'm braking as soon as I start making that arc. So I'll blip the brake here and then slowly get onto the throttle as you have plenty of room to run off of this corner. And you'll see that I follow the inside of this pavement change, and I'm on the throttle pretty early. So I'm on the throttle even before the apex starts. That's just because I know that I have enough speed that I'm going to hit the apex and still make the track out. So I'm on the throttle after, a little bit on the apex, and you're able to run out pretty wide off of the corner as it's not as tight as the other two. So now over the short little hill here, down into the double right, turn 9 I guess is what they just call it. But going into here, what I try to shoot for is I try to shoot for this yellow strip of curb. That's where I'm basically driving the car into. So you'll see as I'm coming up to the right about here, so I'm braking quite a bit before the yellow curb, and you want to get as much of an or I guess you want to have the best turn in possible and the least amount of steering for this corner. So you'll see that I run out pretty wide, drop down to 4th gear, and as soon as I drop down to 4th gear, that's when I turn in for this corner. And you'll see I'm kind of easy on the throttle here, but usually I feel once I am on the apex, that's when I'll full throttle. However, the issue is coming off of this corner as you are going over a hill, so the car will feel really light. And as you can see, it just doesn't turn in as much, and it kind of sends you pretty wide. I was off track a little bit, which is fine, but you want to be careful there, as if you are carrying too much speed, you'll go off track there, and it's kind of a bumpy ride to get back on. But here, I'll show you the whole corner and just show you how you really can't turn over the hill. Yeah, so you can see it as I'm going actually over the hill. There's almost just no turn in. But anyways, coming off of this corner now, going into the final few corners of the track, turn 11 here. This is the one I actually screw up, and I knew I screwed up too. And I wish I would have done another lap to see if I could get that perfect, but all the rest of the corners were pretty good, I'd say, in my opinion. But anyways, coming into turn 11 here, what I try to look for is when this grass starts on the right side. That's where I'm going to start braking, or at least in this lap I don't, but that's where you should start braking. And it's a very brief blip of the brake. You try to use as much track here as possible so that you get the best line through the corner, but it's a blip of the brake staying in 5th gear, and as you can see, I missed the apex by a bit. But the idea is you want to ride onto this apex. You even kind of want to cut the grass a little bit here just to ride on the apex. But you should have enough speed that before you even get to, you should be able to throttle over the apex. So essentially you start getting on the gas before the apex and just being able to drive over it. And then then you can run out pretty wide all the way to the curb. The curb will save you a little bit here. And then finally into the last corner here, or the last braking corner that is, before the little left-hand kink. What I try to look for, this one's more of a feel corner than, because there isn't really a marker for this, but the marker that I made was you want to brake for this corner between where the yellow curb ends and the top of the hill here. So right about here, that's where I start braking. And I start on the left-ish side of the track, kind of towards the middle. I'll drop down to third. And you kind of want to go somewhat straight over this first part as you're braking. Then drop down to third, and then you can really turn in for the corner. So I'm off the throttle and coming back into the corner. And once I feel like I have enough speed that I'm gonna get close to this apex or get on the apex, that's when I get on the throttle again. So you'll see I get on the throttle there, and I get pretty close to the apex. I don't actually get on it. Let's go back again. So off the throttle, on the throttle as I'm getting to the apex, and the little left-hand kink here, and across the line for my lap. So now what I'll do, as always, is go back, if you're going to go back maybe, there we go, go back and show you guys the full lap here. As much speed as possible. Correct for the alternate carousel. This little straight into the right, left, right, left, right, right section. Gotta have good lines through here, that's key. As much speed as possible as well. Be careful over the hill. Out and across the line. So yeah, so a short little track. I enjoy it. It's a cool track. It's gimmicky, I guess. It's got a lot of lefts than rights, than lefts than rights, and so on. But yeah, so that was my lap. It was a 117.741 around the Mid-Ohio short configuration. So I hope you guys enjoyed and hope to see you guys on track.